I never thought that a single conversation could feel like the final nail in the coffin of everything we had built together. But there I was, staring at the empty apartment that once felt alive with laughter, half of it now hers, the other half still mine, yet feeling strangely hollow. My name's Daniel, and for 22 years I believed that love meant staying no matter what. Until yesterday. Until the divorce papers had been signed, the last signatures dried, and the finality of it all settled like a weight I couldn't shake off. I woke up that morning with a sense of numbness, as if my body knew the mind had already surrendered. Emma, my ex-wife, had spent the night packing her things, her presence lingering like a shadow that refused to leave. I could hear the clatter of boxes, the soft murmur of instructions to the movers, and the occasional sniffle of our youngest, Lily, trying to make sense of a world that suddenly seemed unrecognizable. I didn't intervene, I didn't want to. For years, I had held back my own emotions to accommodate hers, to cushion her pride, to keep peace at all costs. But that day the balance had shifted. For the first time, I realized peace wasn't worth anything if it meant losing myself entirely. When she finally stepped out of the apartment, she paused at the door, glancing at me with that mix of defiance and disbelief that had characterized most of our arguments. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I let her linger in that moment of confusion because I wanted her to understand, finally, what years of quiet endurance and subtle compromises had cost me. She was stunned, I could see it in the way her hand trembled on the doorknob. She probably expected anger, a dramatic scene, tears, maybe even a desperate plea. But I remained calm. My expression, neutral yet firm, was the only thing she could read. And that silence, that quiet confidence, was perhaps louder than any words I could have shouted. It started years ago, though I didn't notice it then. Emma had this habit of dismissing me in subtle ways. Jokes that cut too close to the bone, laughter shared at my expense, comments meant as teasing but loaded with a sharp edge I only recognized in hindsight. I laughed along at first. I thought, perhaps foolishly, that love meant enduring, that marriage meant patience, that my role was to absorb, to shield, to forgive. I didn't realize that every unacknowledged hurt, every dismissed feeling, was accumulating like dry leaves in a corner of a room, waiting for a spark. And that spark came in the most mundane of forms. A casual question from a friend over breakfast about who would handle things if life went sideways. Emma's response, a smirk, a laugh, and the careless words that followed, were the final straw. I remember it vividly. "Oh, come on, Daniel," she said, her tone light but cutting. "If something ever happened, I'd probably have to protect you. You'd be hopeless otherwise." There was laughter around the table, forced and easy, but I felt it pierce through me like glass. My hands clenched on my coffee mug without my realizing. The room blurred around me. And yet I didn't speak. I didn't scream. I simply observed. The calm in my body belied the storm in my mind. This wasn't about the words themselves, it was about the pattern, the recurring theme of diminishing my presence, trivializing my capabilities, undermining my value in ways both subtle and blatant. After breakfast, the drive to her office was quiet. The car smelled faintly of the vanilla air freshener she insisted on keeping, a scent that once was comforting but now felt suffocating. I glanced at her from the corner of my eye, noting the unconcerned way she scrolled through her phone, the light smile she gave to a text from her friend, completely unaware of the tension I carried. She didn't notice the small sigh I released, the one I had been holding in for years. I wanted her to feel it, even just for a second, the weight of everything she had dismissed, everything she had taken for granted. But she didn't, and perhaps she never would. The apartment felt emptier than it had when we first moved in together. The walls, once bright with shared memories, seemed to lean in on me, echoing the countless times I had swallowed my own frustrations to keep the peace. I walked through the rooms slowly, touching the furniture she had chosen, the frame she had insisted on hanging, the small details that had once felt intimate but now felt like markers of a life that no longer included me. Each step was deliberate, each breath measured, as if by moving slowly I could somehow prolong the moment before the inevitable confrontation. And then as the clock struck noon, I knew it was time. She had been gone for hours, yet part of me wanted to see her reaction in person, to witness the moment when the realization hit that I had finally decided my own boundaries mattered more than placating her ego. I waited near the front door, arms crossed, heart steady. When she returned, probably to grab a final item or perhaps just to see if I would react, her eyes widened in a mixture of surprise and disbelief. She didn't expect this. She expected anger, shouting, pleading, anything but the composed silence I now offered. "What are you doing?" she asked, her voice catching slightly. I thought you'd." I cut her off gently but firmly. "I'm listening, Emma. I've been listening for 22 years. Now, it's time you understand what it feels like to be heard without interruption." My words hung in the air, calm yet heavy, a weight she hadn't anticipated. Her lips parted, searching for a retort, an argument, but none came. She realized, finally, that the game had changed, that the dynamics of our relationship had shifted irreversibly. The woman who had once held control, who had used humor and charm to veil criticism, now faced a man who had found his own voice, his own agency, his own unwavering calm.